Selling happens when you are face-to-face with a potential customer who is ready and able to buy a product or service. Anything else is just fooling yourself. Many people, especially in sales, often get this wrong. They think that tasks like organizing documents, reviewing sales materials, managing listings, chatting over coffee, and looking at old ads are part of selling. But that's not really true. You can't always predict where a sale will come from or how successful it will be. However, there is something you can control your sales activities. When you manage your sales activities, you follow the law of probabilities. This law says that if you spend more time meeting with customers, your chances of making more money increase. So you have a lot of control over how much money you make. The key is to meet more people and spend more time with them in person. If someone tries to reach you at the office, they shouldn't find you there. Why? Because your customers aren't in the office. They are outside. When I started working in sales, the only job I could get was going door to door and making cold calls. I didn't have any training or experience, so the only thing I could rely on was hard work. Luckily, it wasn't as physically hard as working on a farm or a ship. It was a relatively clean job. Someone once told me that in sales, you're not really selling. Instead, you're facing rejection. They said the more rejections you face, the more sales you will eventually make. And that was all the training I got. So I began waking up earlier and earlier each day to knock on more doors and face more rejection. I started my days very early, usually around 6, 7, or 8 in the morning when people were heading to work. I spent the whole day knocking on doors, trying to sell something. Even after a long day, I'd still go out in the evenings and knock on more doors of houses and apartments. Sometimes I'd be working for 12 to 14 hours straight. It was really tough. It took me a whole month of working every single day before I finally made my first sale. Let me tell you, it was not a pleasant way to live. Eventually, I decided to ask for advice from the top guy in our company. He was a bit older than me, but made 10 times more money than I did. I wanted to know his secret. So I went up to him and asked, "Why are you so successful? What's your secret? Why do you make so much money?" He said, "Let me see how you're selling. Show me your step-by-step process, and I'll give you some advice." I replied, "Honestly, I don't really have a set way of selling. I just go up to doors and talk to people until they say they're not interested. Then I move on to the next door and do the same thing." He shook his head and said, No, that's not the way to sell. The way you sell is by asking questions and finding ways to help your customers achieve their goals with our products." So I changed my approach. Instead of doing all the talking, I started asking questions. I noticed that people responded to me differently. They were more interested and engaged. Seeing this change made me want to learn even more about selling. I began reading books, listening to audio programs, and attending seminars about selling. With each new thing I learned, my sales performance improved a lot. Within just 1 year, my income skyrocketed. I was making 10 times more money than before. At the age of 25, I was earning more than I ever imagined. In fact, I was making more money than my father, who had worked hard for 40 years. It was an incredible transformation. What I discovered is that in every area of work or activity, there are specific steps to success. It's like following a recipe. If you do what successful people do, you'll likely achieve similar results. So whenever I started something new, I would ask myself, what's the recipe for success in this field? What do the most successful companies and individuals do then? I'd follow their example, and soon enough, I'd see similar outcomes. People would wonder how I could succeed in something new. I'd simply say, I learned from the best by reading books and talking to successful people. They showed me the way. Some years ago, Prudential Insurance Company did a study. They looked at thousands of their agents all across the United States using computers to see how much money each agent was making. What they found was very interesting. They discovered that 20% of their agents were responsible for 80% of the business. In simpler terms, a small group of agents were doing most of the work. But Prudential didn't stop there. They had all this data on their computers, so they decided to analyze it further. They asked, what's the average income of the top 20% of the top 20%? This means they were looking at the top 4%. And guess what they found? On average, the top 4% were making 32 times more money than the average of the agents in the bottom 80%. So basically, a tiny fraction of the agents were making a huge amount more money than most of the others. This shows how much of a difference there can be between the top performers and everyone else. They found this so interesting that they decided to look even deeper. They asked, what's the average income of the top 20% of the top 20% of the top 20% of the top 20%? This means they were looking at the top 0.8%. And guess what they discovered? On average, the top 0.8% were making 54 times more money than the average income of the agents in the bottom 80%. That's really impressive. It means the top 0.8% were making a lot more money compared to most people. What they found next was truly amazing. In every state and in every large city where they had an office with many agents working there, they discovered something remarkable. There was always one agent who was selling the same product to the same people at the same price, facing the same competition, and dealing with the same economic challenges as everyone else. Yet this one agent was earning a massive 50 times more than the average agent. Imagine this. In an office with 50 agents, there was one person who made more money than all of them combined. It's incredible, isn't it? One important thing they found was that the secret to success for these top agents was their dedication to being really good right from the start of their careers. They didn't just think, I'll do this job and make money. They thought, I'm going to do this job and be outstanding at it. They made a promise to themselves to be the best. To achieve this, they did several things. They read many books written by the most successful agents. They attended every seminar they could. They listened to every recording they could find about selling. They spent as much time as possible with other successful people, learning from them. They were totally committed to learning everything they needed to know to be successful. These top agents didn't just rely on natural talent or luck. They put in the effort to continuously improve their skills and knowledge. They knew that to be the best, they had to work harder and smarter than everyone else. This commitment to excellence set them apart and allowed them to achieve extraordinary success. The key here is to commit yourself to being excellent. You have to decide that you want to be the best at what you do. The great thing about excellence is that it's a journey, not just a destination. You're always striving to be better. You never reach a point where you can say, I'm done. The biggest threats to excellence are feeling too comfortable and being satisfied with where you are. But once you make the commitment to being excellent, amazing opportunities start to appear before you. An essential part of being excellent is quite simple. Always give your best effort and aim to improve each time. This means giving it your all every time and constantly trying to do better. Think about it this way. Often it's the final 5 or 10% of any task or project that really sets it apart. We tend to reach about 90% completion and then start to slow down. We might procrastinate, set aside paperwork, or come up with excuses. We might even choose to do the enjoyable and easy tasks instead of tackling the difficult but crucial ones. When you commit to excellence, you push through that last bit. You finish strong. You don't let yourself get comfortable and slack off. Instead, you keep pushing to do your best, to learn more, and to improve. This dedication to always doing your best and never settling for good enough is what sets the most successful people apart. By striving for excellence, you're always moving forward, always getting better. This mindset opens up new opportunities and helps you achieve more than you ever thought possible. It's about constantly challenging yourself and aiming higher. This approach not only helps you stand out in your career, but also brings personal satisfaction and a sense of accomplishment. Another important part of being excellent is this. If you're not excellent at what you do, you won't progress. You'll stay stuck where you are. Let me tell you a story. I was at a job event recently and a young man approached me. He was upset because he had just been laid off from a sales job. He complained, there are no opportunities in sales. I told him, young man, if you were really good at what you do, you wouldn't have been laid off. Good salespeople are actually quite rare. He seemed puzzled. So I asked him, have you ever tried to learn more about sales? He replied, no, I don't need to. I just rely on my natural abilities. I simply said, there you go. The point is, if you don't continuously strive to improve and excel in your field, you'll find it difficult to progress and seize new opportunities. If you think that your natural abilities are enough and you don't need to learn more or work harder, you'll end up stuck. Excellence requires effort and commitment. You have to keep learning and pushing yourself to get better. This means reading books, attending seminars, and practicing your skills. It's about always looking for ways to improve. If you don't do this, you'll miss out on chances to move forward in your career. You might find yourself in the same position year after year, feeling frustrated because you're not getting ahead. But if you dedicate yourself to being excellent, you'll open up new opportunities for growth and success. You'll stand out as someone who is truly good at what they do, and that will lead to more opportunities and greater achievements. Selling is an art. It's also a job that requires skill and knowledge. Think of it as a mix of creativity, professionalism, and science. To be really good at selling, you have to put in a lot of effort to learn and understand it. You need to study it constantly, even more than your competition who's also aiming for excellence. When you strive for excellence, amazing things can happen. Opportunities start to come your way. It's as if a whole new world of possibilities opens up right in front of you. People start noticing your skills and abilities. They want to work with you, give you more important tasks, and offer you even better chances to succeed. When you can proudly say that you're the best in your field, people are naturally drawn to you. They prefer to do business with the top salespeople. It's like having a golden ticket that attracts success. You can always gauge how good you are at what you do, no matter what stage of life you're in. It's quite simple, really. Just ask yourself, how many job offers have you received lately? It's an interesting question, isn't it? How many times have you been contacted by someone saying, "I want to hire you and I'll offer you more money and better perks"? Truly excellent people tend to get job offers regularly. Some might even get offers every single week. If you're not getting job offers, it's like a signal from the job market. It's saying, this is how good they think you are at your job. This is really important to pay attention to. So think of being excellent as a blend of creativity, professionalism, and science. You have to put in the effort to learn and master it. This means constantly studying and improving your skills, even more than your competition. When you strive for excellence, incredible opportunities start to appear. It's like a whole new world of possibilities opens up. People notice your skills and want to work with you. They give you more important tasks and offer better chances for success. When you're the best in your field, people are naturally drawn to you. They prefer to do business with top salespeople, which is like having a golden ticket that attracts success. So strive for excellence, keep learning and improving, and watch as new opportunities come your way. Here is something important. If you're going to do anything, you'll only truly enjoy it if you do it well. When we do things well, it boosts our confidence and makes us feel proud. We feel like we've achieved something great. But if we just do things in a mediocre way, it doesn't really make us feel anything special. Think about it. There's no reward for doing things in a mediocre way. However, when we put in the effort to do something exceptionally well, it makes us feel amazing about ourselves. That's why companies committed to excellence don't necessarily excel by huge margins in one area. Instead, they're just a little bit better, maybe 1 or 2% in many different aspects, and that's what makes them stand out. Now, the first step in selling is talking to people and figuring out who's really interested in what you have to offer. You don't want to waste your time with people who can't afford or won't buy your product or service. So it's like sifting through a bunch of people to find the ones who are genuinely interested and have the means to make a purchase. This step is called prospecting, and it's super important if you want to succeed in sales. When you do something well, it gives you a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. You feel confident and proud because you've done a good job. But when you do things in a mediocre way, you don't get that same feeling. There's no real reward for doing things just okay. Putting in the effort to do something really well makes a big difference. It makes you feel great about yourself and your abilities. This is why companies that are committed to excellence stand out. They might not be a lot better in one single area, but they are a little bit better in many areas. Being 1 or 2% better in different aspects adds up and makes them exceptional. By focusing on doing things well and being excellent, you'll not only feel better about yourself, but you'll also stand out in your field. And by prospecting effectively, you'll ensure you're spending your time with the right people who are interested in what you have to offer. Once you have found people who might want to buy from you, the next thing to do is to make them trust you. Trust is very important in any relationship, even between a seller and a buyer. You want your customers to feel sure and comfortable when doing business with you. To do this, you need to show that you are reliable, honest, and truly care about their needs. This helps to build a strong relationship that can last a long time. When selling, this is very important. People will not buy from you if they do not like you or trust you. That's just how it works. Here's something interesting. One of the biggest challenges in finding new customers is the fear of being rejected. It is normal to be afraid that people might say no or be rude to us. We are scared of facing rejection and of failing. Because of these fears, many of us hesitate to reach out to potential customers. We hold back from making phone calls or talking to people because we are worried about what might happen. But if we let these fears control us, we miss out on chances to meet new customers and grow our business. When we start our journey in life, most of us feel unsure and have many fears. But as we begin to feel better about ourselves and keep telling ourselves positive things like "I can do this," our confidence grows and our fears start to shrink. The more we build up our self-esteem by recognizing our own value and strengths, the less afraid we become of facing challenges or trying new things. It's like a seesaw. As our self-esteem goes up, our fears go down. This helps us approach life with more confidence and courage. When you feel less afraid, you are more willing to talk to more people. The more you reach out to different people, the better you become at finding potential customers. As you get better at this, your fear starts to go away. You might even start to enjoy meeting new people and making those calls. So the key to being successful in sales is reaching out to new people, and this all begins with feeling good about yourself. When you have high self-esteem, you feel more ready to take on new opportunities and meet new people. The more you practice reaching out to others, the more confident and comfortable you become. It's like a cycle, starting with self-esteem, which leads to effective prospecting and ultimately to sales success. I've worked with many people, and I remember talking to a man not too long ago. He told me he had tried working in sales but gave up after just 1 week. When I asked him why, he said he struggled to handle rejection. He felt he didn't have the strength to deal with hearing no from potential customers over and over again. He admitted he was feeling down in many parts of his life, and the rejection he faced in sales was just too much for him. It became overwhelming because he already had low self-esteem. When we have low self-esteem, facing rejection can feel even harder. It can make us feel worse about ourselves and make us want to give up. That's why building up our self-esteem is so important. When we feel good about ourselves, we can handle rejection better and keep trying until we succeed. So to be successful in sales, we need to start by believing in ourselves. Another important thing we've learned is the importance of building trust and being likable. When you appreciate yourself, you tend to appreciate others more. Interestingly, the more you like other people, the more they like you back. This makes them more open to what you have to say and more willing to buy from you. There's a fascinating connection between your level of self-esteem and your success in sales. Salespeople with high self-esteem tend to be the top earners in their field around the world. A study done by a major company gives us a clear example. They divided sales candidates into two groups, one with average self-esteem and another with high self-esteem. The first group went through 3 months of hard training before starting to sell, while the second group, with high self-esteem but no training, was sent out to sell right away. Can you guess what happened next? Within just 6 months, the group with no training but high self-esteem was outselling the fully trained group with low self-esteem by 2 to 3 times. This amazing difference shows how important confidence from high self-esteem is. Essentially, self-esteem builds self-confidence, which is crucial in sales. Now let's talk about another important part of selling. Finding out what the customer needs. This means understanding their situation by asking them lots of questions. Here's the thing. For a customer to buy something, they usually need one of 3 things. First, they might have a need that hasn't been met yet. For example, if you're selling headache pills, they need to have a headache. It's important to understand that you shouldn't try to create a need when selling. Instead, focus on finding someone who already has a need that matches what you're offering. Then you can talk to them and try to convince them to choose your product over others. When you ask questions, you're trying to discover these needs or problems they have. Secondly, a good potential customer might have a goal they want to achieve. This could be something like gaining financial independence or getting healthier. Your job is to show how your product or service can help them reach that goal. In this third phase of selling, your main goal is to ask a lot of questions. You want to understand how you can help the person by meeting a need, solving a problem, or helping them reach a goal. It's about really getting to know their situation so you can tailor your pitch to their specific needs and desires. Here's something interesting from 25 years of research, costing tens of millions of dollars and involving over 55,000 interviews and recorded sales conversations between salespeople and customers. They found that if you don't follow the right steps when selling, you can actually ruin the sale. This discovery was surprising for many people, and it's something most aren't aware of. They found that customers usually follow a logical process when deciding to buy something. So your selling process needs to match this buying process. When you do this, sales tend to happen smoothly and successfully every time. The best salespeople can sell to 4 out of 5 people they talk to. Less skilled salespeople might only sell to 1 out of 10 or even 1 out of 20 people. This is why salespeople who have perfected their skills are among the highest paid individuals in our society. From what I've learned, it's really important not to start talking about your product or service right away. Instead, begin by asking a lot of questions. This helps you figure out if the person you're talking to really needs what you're selling. It's all about understanding their needs and finding the best way to help them. Taking the time to ask questions and listen carefully can make a huge difference in how successful you are in sales. No matter what's happening now, always expect things to get better. Always expect growth in your life, in your work, and in your family. When you expect growth, you're setting a positive outlook for yourself. If you believe that things will improve and you work towards that, chances are you'll be right most of the time. It's like having a mindset that focuses on progress and improvement, which can lead to good results in many areas of your life. It's really important for anyone working in sales to understand behavioral psychology deeply. Whenever someone says, "I don't need to study that, I do it naturally," it's like they're saying, "I'm okay with failing, and I'm telling everyone." Sales is very precise. It's about communicating well and persuading others, which means understanding complex human behaviors. Some psychologists spend their whole lives studying this. Getting really good at sales can change your life. Many people who start with nothing and become billionaires do so because they're great salespeople. They can share their ideas with passion and persuade others to join them. So mastering persuasion can lead to huge opportunities and success. I think like your customers. The best companies are the ones who understand what their customers want and need. They ask themselves, what do our customers want? What do they need? The secret to success is making your customers happier than your competitors do. Every single day, wake up and think, how can I make my customers even happier? Researchers interviewed the CEOs of 400 out of the 500 fastest growing companies and found something fascinating. Every single one of these CEOs was completely focused on their customers. They constantly thought about their customers, talked about them, visited them, called them, and personally handled any complaints. Their dedication to making customers happy was unmatched. At Harvard Business School, experts found something similar a few years ago. In the 21st century, selling would be all about building relationships. They believed that the key to success in business would be based on the quality of relationships you build with your customers. Your most valuable customers are the ones you genuinely like and who like you in return. About 85% of the recommendations and referrals you get will come from these people, those who enjoy your company and feel positive about you. Instead of focusing only on making a sale, prioritize building and nurturing relationships. When you focus on the relationship, the sales usually follow naturally. However, if you are only fixated on making a sale, you might end up with neither the sale nor a strong relationship. Building strong relationships with others is a major skill. The key rule is that trust is built through listening. Before customers want anything else, they want to feel like they have a relationship with you, and listening is how you build that trust. How do you get the chance to listen? The secret to successful sales is asking questions. The best salespeople are the ones who ask insightful questions. This skill is incredibly valuable and can be worth a lot throughout your career, maybe even $1 million worth. Here's an important piece of advice. When it comes to selling, people aren't interested in your product or your company. They don't care about your background or what your product is. What they care about is what your product or service can do for them. I think of it like this. Imagine a little child who keeps saying, me, mine, mine. Customers are similar, but with more reasons for their behavior. They are mainly concerned with themselves, what they can gain, what's in it for them. Customers are looking for something that will make their lives better, whether it's a result, a benefit, or even a complete change. That's what they're really after. Let's go back about 6,000 years to ancient Sumeria, where the first open markets began. Since then, customers have consistently been buying one thing. Can you guess what it is? It's improvement. Customers buy things because they believe it will make their lives better in some way. People buy things because they think the improvement it offers is worth more than the cost and effort it takes to use or learn about it. In simpler terms, customers compare the benefits they'll get from a product or service against what they have to give up, like money and time. If they believe the improvement is worth it, they'll make the purchase.